Hello and welcome. How is everyone doing today? Today I want to cover a bill signed by Ron DeSantis recently. I've been trying to do this one forever, but the rabbit hole goes deep on this. And I kept having to do more and more research, and I would find more stuff, and I was just never satisfied with what I had because I kept going deeper and deeper into this hole. But anyway, this is what we have today. And I'm going to focus on specific parts of it, then I'll zoom out a little bit. Now, what I want to focus on mainly, there's two parts. It's that with this bill, the bill provides for the decertification of partisan school unions and fast-track salary increases, which some unions have stalled. Let's see, now they require at least 50% participation in union certification or recertification elections. Unions can no longer be recertified through an election where only a handful of voters participate. Now, I know I read that one thing, but that wasn't the other thing. Let's see. Now then, the bill also made it easier to leave a union. Employees can revoke their union membership at any time of the year. If this happens, the union must process the revocation and stop due collections within 30 days. This is big because before, basically, they could only quit during a certain time of the year. Now then, one way they can quit is by stop paying their dues, right? But, and here's the thing, they couldn't just do that because the payments were being taken out of their paychecks automatically, and there was only, if I understand it correctly, one time during the year in which they could file to stop paying their dues, and that's it. If they miss that window, they have to wait till next year. So that was highly inconvenient for anyone who was a part of a union who wanted to quit it. Now then, I think for the most part, unions can be useful and should be useful, but a lot of these unions are highly partisan and very political. The school unions mostly just prop up Democrat candidates and left-wing politics. And in fact, let me take you right here. Escamati and other critics charge that the legislation is an attempt to retaliate politically against teacher unions and their members, who have been largely supportive of Democrats and their policies. For instance, the Florida Education Association, the statewide teacher union with about 150,000 members, making it the largest public employee union in the state, tends to endorse Democratic candidates. Most of its political spending over the last 20 years has been on behalf of Democratic candidates. So that's where most of their spending when it comes to politics is going, is strictly or mostly towards one side. So as we can see, because of the vast amount of support that these unions give to the Democratic Party, that's why Ron DeSantis is targeting them with this new bill and allowing it to be easier than ever to leave these unions. And the reason why it's becoming easier to decertify them as well is because in order to recertify them, you can have a very low amount of people actually voting for this. Let's see. I'm trying to think of how to articulate it. So basically, the unions represent all the teachers in that district, whether or not the teachers are actually a part of that union. So the unions get a huge say in that district, whether or not teachers actually support that particular union. So that's why DeSantis wants to make it easier to leave them and also decertify them, because this way, the teachers that are actually a part of this district that the unions represent, if they don't actually participate in the recertification votes, if they don't actually want the unions to be recertified, then the teacher unions won't be certified and they'll lose their power. So that's why he's going after them like this. And we can even see that 94% of their political spending goes directly to Democrats. And we can even read here, Even more than most labor unions, they have little use for Republicans, giving Democrats at least 94% of the funds they contributed to candidates and parties since as far back as 1990, where our data begins. So these teacher unions that should probably be nonpartisan end up just being a very strong political arm for the Democratic Party. And they not only support Democrats, but they also support left-leaning school board members when they go to vote as well. And they support and prop up left-wing policies. And it's a little bit difficult tying all of this down because the FEA, the Florida Education Association, funds and lifts up many different teacher unions across Florida. However, they have a parent group above them called the NEA, which is the National Education Association, and it is the parent organization to many other teacher unions. And not only that, but the FEA has a merger with the AFT. So there's all these different umbrella corporations and organizations and teacher unions that make it kind of hard to keep track of who's doing what. But the main underlying issue is that many of them are just a political arm for the Democratic Party. And here's the thing, I don't want them to support left-wing policy or right-wing policy. I wouldn't trust them to teach Christianity and the Bible to children in schools. I would not trust them to teach Christianity faithfully to children. I don't think the government is good at doing that, and I don't think that they should be the ones doing that. I think the parents should be in charge of all that and leaving those kind of ideologies to the parent, not the government. The government shouldn't be taking your kids and instilling their own ideologies within them. And that's exactly what leads to this kind of stuff here. Where is it? Supreme Court declines to hear Florida parental rights case. Now, in this one, I believe it right here, this is the name of the wife, I believe, and then this is the husband. January and Jeffrey, Little John, last name, discovered that their child's middle school in Florida created a so-called ginger support plan for their 13-year-old daughter behind their backs. The plan included referring to their daughter by a different name, using they-them pronouns, and asking whether she wanted to use opposite-sex privacy facilities like bathrooms and locker rooms. Again, this all happened without telling her parents. It wasn't until their daughter mentioned the meeting in an offhanded comment that they learned the school was engaging in what they called a secret social transition. Now, the same people who put this policy into play, they were propped up by teacher unions. So, when these teacher unions advocate for something, whether it's a candidate or school board member or policy, it greatly increases the chance that whatever they're advocating for will succeed, all the way up to their administration. And this is exactly what these teacher unions have been doing, not only in Florida, but across the country. And thankfully, teacher unions like this have been kept weaker in Florida. But overall, if this is what they're doing, then I think, we're better without the vast majority of them. Now, I know some people might enjoy and actually get real benefits from them, but if this is what they're doing for the most part, I think if you're joining a union, you should be able to get the benefits without worrying that your money is going directly towards a political cause, especially if it's a political cause that you disagree with. And here, I think it's here, Mom wants answers after son with special needs found wandering alone after suburban school walkout. In this case, there was a protest where the administration allowed for a walkout protest to go around their school, and a special needs student got lost in this process and ended up wandering miles away from the school when he was supposed to be in class. So instead of teaching them how to read, how to write, how to do math, all well, our literacy rates are dropping, our math skills and writing skills are going down across the board. Instead of doing that, they're teaching them to protest and change their names and pronouns. I mean, maybe I'm just old-fashioned, but I really feel like they should just be teaching our children skills that are going to go with them in the real world to help teach them how to do these jobs. But instead, they're teaching them ideologies, they're teaching them to be political pawns in their games, and they're just pushing basically their political dogma onto children. So this is why I think a lot of what comes with that bill that DeSantis just signed is very useful. There's some other stuff in there as well. Let's see. Oh yeah, it also makes it easier for teachers to get salary raises and rewards teachers for basically outperforming in low performance schools. So it does a lot of good for teachers while also weakening the teacher unions, which again, if this is what they're up to, then I say good, because I don't want them teaching left-wing ideology, right-wing ideology. I wouldn't trust them to do that properly. Well, anyway, that's all I have for today. This was a lot, man. Like, I had to research so much. It never felt like it was quite complete. I don't know if it's complete now. And there's so much more you can go through. Like, I really want to look into the NEA, the AFT, the FEA, and all of those after looking into this. And I want to know more about them and what's been going on behind the scenes this entire time. It's just so crazy, because it just sounds like a huge rabbit hole. And this is what the left has been doing, is infiltrating these organizations that you wouldn't expect to be political, and then hammering away from the inside. This way, they can't say, oh, Democrats are responsible for that. No, it's some organization within an organization within an organization that's actually responsible. And it makes it very difficult to hunt down who's doing what, who's funding what, and why things are happening. It's very hard to look into all this stuff, but I'm glad it's coming to light, and I hope things get better. I hope things get better. That's all I have for today. God bless. Have a wonderful day. Sayonara later, and goodbye.